Hey y'all, so I basically came up with 10 different, wow, let me sit down. I basically came up with 10 different study tips. I wrote them on my iPad, obviously you can't see them, but these are tips that I feel like have helped me while being in school, and I just wanted to share them with you in hopes that you could be successful with what you're doing and that you just have the confidence to do well in whatever you partake. So I just want to share with you guys some of my success tips that's helped me. And right now I currently have a 4.0 in my master's program, and honestly I'm not, disclaimer, I'm not your super smart student. And back to my undergrad, I was just your B student. I was never really like a consistent A student. So this is the first time in my life where I've made straight A's in every single class so far in the program, and that's never happened before. So disclaimer, you don't have to be a brainiac to get a 4.0. You just have to be dedicated. So let's continue. So the first tip I have is pave out a study plan. I cannot emphasize this more. So what helped me in all of my classes is that at the very beginning of the class, I would basically form a schedule of how I'd be studying. So, or how often I'd be studying. So I knew that I work Monday through Friday in the clinic, and so Monday through Friday I would make sure that I have about 4 to 5 hours to study the material for school, and so it would usually be after I get off work. So from 5 to, let's say, 9, I would go to the library. Luckily the library is right across my job, and I would stay in the library for about 4 or 5 hours each day. And so I just made sure to keep consistent with that schedule, which brings me to my next point. Make sure you're consistent. You cannot be successful without being consistent. And so there is no room for breaks. There's no room for just, distractions. You just have to be focused, and you have to be dedicated. You have to realize the goal at the end of the day that you want to pursue, and you have to be consistent and put in the hard work, put in the time, because it's going to pay off at the end of the day, and it will show. And it's really hard now, but you have to, continue to stay strong and continue to stay motivated even when it's really challenging. And that was really hard for me to do, honestly, because there were so many distractions, and so it was easy to, not be focused and not be consistent. But I just have to keep reminding myself, like, why I want to do this. And ultimately it's to be a family nurse practitioner, but it's to be a really great family nurse practitioner. And the only way I'm going to get great is if I continuously keep up the same methods with my studies. So my next tip is, and this is what I did in pretty much every class I've been taking so far, find the objectives at the very beginning of the class and make sure that you focus on those objectives throughout the module or throughout the course. Just make sure at the beginning of the course, what I would do is I find objectives for the first module or second module or third module, and I would write down all of the objectives, and then when I'm studying I would make sure that I hit every objective, and that after my studies I would go over the objectives and make sure I understood each objective. This is really important because this is where your professors develop their tests and their exams. They develop their exams based off of the objectives that they want you to know. So it's really important that you focus on the objectives so that you're able to know the material when it comes to test time. So if you do this, you will do well. It's really hard, and it's really easy to get distracted and focus on so much because there's so much information to know. But if you stay focused on the objectives, it gives you an outline of what you're supposed to know, and it really helps to, you know, limit all the amount of information that's going in your brain, because you have so much information and you want to decipher what's important and what is not that important. So just put the information on the objectives in your brain. So that worked for me. So another tip that really worked well: make friends. Don't be afraid to make friends. And I don't know what kind of program that you're attending. For me, my program is online, and I know what you may be thinking, like, how am I supposed to make friends in an online program? It's so easy. So nowadays with social media, there are Facebook groups, there are GroupMe groups, there's WhatsApp. You need to do some, you know, soul searching. Well, not really soul searching, but you just need to go on, you need to log on to your Facebook, and you need to look for groups with your college and with the specific course you're in, and make friends. And a really good tip: make friends with top scoring students in your class, because they can help you score an A. And so I even did this throughout my undergrad, but I would make sure I knew who was the top scorer in the class, and I would be friends with that person. So you need to do some studying, and the only way you could do that is if you make friends. So it starts in one place. Another tip I have is to make sure you understand the material enough to be able to teach it. So nursing school and in my master's degree program, you're not memorizing anymore. Longer are days where you get a set of material, you memorize it, and you do well. You have to understand everything that you are learning. And the only way to be able to understand that, and the only way to know that you understand that material, is if you're able to teach it. So always find a friend, get somebody who you can teach this information to. One of the things that I did is I would just share with my non-medical friends fun facts of what I'm learning. And, you know, that way they can ask me like, oh, like, what do you mean? Or like, can you like further explain what you're talking about? And so I would go more into depth and kind of teach them. So that's a good trick. You could just go with your family, whether you're friends, talk about what you're learning, and be able to explain to them and teach them what you're learning. It's so cool. It's a good way to retain all the information. Okay, so 2 more tips, guys. Relax before an exam. This was really difficult for me because I have a lot of anxiety, and when it comes to tests, when it comes to school in general, I don't know, it's scary. And you could walk into a test, and, you know, with my online course, I had to be filmed while I was taking these tests. So it would be really nerve-wracking just testing with a camera right in front of me. You know, if testing enough wasn't nerve-wracking, you have this camera facing you, and it's just weird, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, I can't talk, I can't do anything, like, I just have to focus. So really important to relax. One of the things that helped me relax was meditation, prayer. I'm really big on my faith, so prayer would just help me get through it and help me relax. And I also, another thing I used, I really like essential oils, and I would really use like peppermint smells to de-stress. But I also like lavender. Lavender is a good smell for like just relaxing and getting yourself in that relaxing vibe, especially before a test. The last thing is to don't second guess yourself. Don't doubt yourself, especially during an exam. When you come across a question, just really think about the question and just think about just, you know the answer. You've been over the material. Don't second guess yourself. Always listen to your gut. Always listen to your gut answer. Don't change the answer. And just know that you have learned the material and you understand this information. I cannot emphasize that enough, because I often would second guess myself all throughout undergrad, and I would change the answer to questions, and it would make my grade go from like a B to a C or an A to a B. So one of the things that I've really learned about myself is that I like changing answers on my test. But if I just go with my gut answer, my first initial answer, and just stick with it, then I end up doing better than expected. So I've kept that. So those are all the tips I have. I hope you guys thought it was helpful in some way, and I hope that you guys are really successful in whatever programs that you are undertaking. If you have any tips to share, or if you're currently in any master degree programs, feel free to share in the comments below. And I can't wait to speak with you in the next video.